Hi, I'm Mark from easylawnmowing.co.uk and this is the Landroid Vision M600 or WR206E robotic lawnmower from WORX. In this video, we're going to take a look at all its features and functions. We're going to test this robotics mower's navigation system, as this is a boundary wireless robotic lawnmower, and by the end of this review, you'll know whether this is the right robotic lawnmower for you and your garden. So before we take a closer look at this WORX Landroid M600, we need to get it unboxed. So let's do that now. Let's see what comes supplied with this particular package. As this is zero installation, and we'll see whether that is the case when we test this out a little bit later. So there's no installation to do, so we won't be covering any installation, but there will be a little bit of setup that is needed to get the robotic mower talking to your smartphone. And I'll be showing you how to do that when we've had a look what comes supplied with the package. Okay, so that's our WORX robotic mower unboxed. So what do you actually get supplied in the box? So naturally you're going to get the mower itself. So as I said earlier, this is the M600. There's also an M800, 1300 and a 1600 model as well. And there are quite significant differences in terms of the deck size, the battery, the charge and the height adjustment between the different models. But I'll be explaining a little bit more about the different models later on in this video. So naturally the mower itself, you also get your charging station here. And as you can see, there's a little bit of assembly to do here, but that's just clipping these sides onto the actual charging station. You get your power supply with a UK socket. So here in the UK, we'll have a UK socket, so no issues there. You also get a bag of ground screws. So these ground screws are for securing the base station to the lawn, if you're going to have it on the lawn. So every time I do a robotic lawnmower review, I always get asked, well, can I have the ground station on the path next to the lawn? And many people prefer that type of configuration. So that's how I'm going to configure this on my lawn, and I'll be showing you that a little bit later. So I'll show you both. I'll show you it on the lawn and I'll show you it on the path and how you would set that up and the distances that you need to leave around the station. You get a spare set of blades in here as well, which is really nice. You've got your Allen key for your ground screws, and these ground screws are also used to secure your RFID tags to the lawn as well, and I'll tell you a bit about those in a moment. So that's your ground screws. You get your user manual here as well to help you with the configuration and the setup. But as I said earlier, there's very, very little installation to do, if any, on this particular model, and that's what's really nice about this particular robotic mower. But we'll be seeing whether it really is the case and there is zero installation, but we'll try that later. So these pegs here are for securing these magnetic strips. So you get 2 rolls of magnetic strip, and each roll is 5 meters in length, and this is for creating no-go zones. So these pegs here are for pegging this down on your lawn to create a no-go zone around a flower bed, for example. And I'm actually going to be using these because I have an area of lawn at the end of the grass there that I don't want cut, that I let to grow a little bit longer for the wildlife. So I'm going to exclude that area, and that will be a good test to see how well this works. So you also get a battery, and this is a power share battery. So this can be used in any of the WORX 20-volt tools. This is only a 2 amp hour battery that you get with this lower M600 model. You do get larger batteries with the other models, but again, I'll tell you a bit about that later. So there's one 2 amp hour 20-volt battery supplied, and these are your RFID tags. So what are these used for? Okay, so these are used for creating zones in the garden. So this will create 2 zones, and an RFID tag needs to go in each zone, and I'll be telling you how you do that a little bit later. And you use the ground screws just to peg them down. So the nice thing about having zones is you can schedule the zones to be cut at different times, for example. And even with the higher models, the 2 higher models, you can also set different heights for different zones as well, different cutting heights, which is a really nice touch. But again, I'll go into that a little bit later. So that's pretty much it in terms of what you get supplied in the box. So all we need to do now really is just assemble this ground station, We need to install the app and we need to connect the robotic mower to the app, and that's pretty much it. And then we're ready to go. We can drop this on the lawn and let it cut the lawn. But I will be explaining a little bit about my perimeter around the lawn, because remember, this is using a camera for its guidance, and I'll be going into a little bit more detail about how you need to prepare your lawn for this particular robotic mower. So before we take the mower out onto my lawn to test it, I just wanted to go over the specification of this particular model. So my lawn here is around 450 square meters if I take into account the bit I'm going to cut off. So this is the M600. So this is designed for lawns up to 600 square meters, and that helps with the model number there. So the M for medium-sized lawn, up to 600 square meters. The M800 is for 800, and so on. So this is going to cover my lawn really nicely. You do get only a 2 amp hour battery with this particular model, so I may consider upgrading this to a 4 amp hour battery, which will mean this will just mow longer and make less returns to the charging station. So that's a consideration if you wanted to upgrade. But that's the nice thing about this particular mower. It's all power share. I can go and put that in my WORX hedge trimmer, for example, and that would work nicely. So these are power share batteries, and they're readily available if you wanted to upgrade the amp hours. So looking at the mower itself, so this is a vision mower. So really, essentially, there's 3 types of navigation system. There's the traditional boundary wire, there's GPS or some technology sitting on GPS such as RTK, which guides the mower around. And then the third type is this particular type, which is a camera. So this model has a camera, it has AI, artificial intelligence, that is going to help it to guide it around your lawn, help it to avoid obstacles, and also help it to stop going over the boundary. And we're going to be testing that on my lawn a little bit later. So what I'll do now is I'll flash up on the screen my boundary so that you can see it is actually quite well defined around the edge, apart from one side where I have lots of shrubs growing and vegetables growing. So it's going to be really interesting to see how well this camera deals with that particular edge. Is it going to recognize that that's the edge of the lawn and stop and come back in? So that's going to be really interesting. If it doesn't, then I'm going to have to make some modifications to that particular boundary, but we will see. We'll test that, and that's a real life test of this particular model. So in terms of cutting heights, you've got 4 cutting heights. So you've got 30 millimeters to 60 millimeters. So that's a good range for a robotic lawnmower. So essentially what you would do normally is cut your lawn to the height that you want the mower to keep the grass at. So if I wanted my lawn at 40, I would cut the lawn with a traditional mower at 40 millimeters, set this to 40 millimeters, and then this will keep the lawn at that length, and it will keep it nice, and you'll never have to mow the lawn again, which is what this robotic mower is all about. But what I've done here is I've left my lawn a little bit longer because we want to see how well this cuts. So in places my lawn is probably around 70 millimeters in height. You need to make sure that your lawn is under 90 millimeters. And that's specified from WORX. So get the lawn down to the height that you want, set the mower at the height that you want to keep it, and off it goes. So really, really simple installation. Also on the mower, you have a rain sensor. So this is really good so that you can adjust this in the app as well, how long you want the delay to be, but this will go back to its base if it detects rain, and wait that period of time that you've told it before it goes out again to check. If it's raining again, it will go back in again, and so on. So that's a really nice feature of this particular mower. You've got the control panel here on the front of the mower itself, but once we get the app connected, most of the control and configuration, the scheduling, will be done through the app, and I'll be showing you how to do that in a moment. So as I mentioned, the battery goes in this flap here. It's all power share. You've got a QR code here that I'll be showing you how to use to connect this to the app as well. If we have a quick look under the deck of the mower, so you've got a carry handle here. So if you're picking the mower up and carrying it, it is around 14 kilograms, so it's not light. So this handle here, this carry handle, is really useful for carrying the mower around should you need to. So if we have a look underneath, so you can see you've got your deck here, which is 18 centimeters. The other models all have slightly larger decks, 19 centimeters and 22 centimeters going up the models, but this is 18 centimeters, and you've got these razor blades here. This is a floating deck as well. As you can see there, the deck moves up and down, which is really nice. So That's going to adjust to any undulations that you have in your lawn and stop it scalping the lawn as well. So that's a really nice touch. You've got this wheel at the front here. So we're powered by these two wheels or driven by these rear wheels here. And the grip on these rear wheels is really, really nice. So the combination of the weight and these wheels will allow this to work on slopes up to 30%, which is equivalent really to many of the competitors, such as the Stiga, for example, or the Segway. So the Segway is a little bit more, the Stiga is a little bit less. So if we turn the mower back over, I just wanted to show you, if you look at actually the position of this blade, this is a cut to edge. So this mower will cut to edge, unlike the S300 that I have in my front lawn. The blade is positioned centrally to the robotic mower. As you can see here, it's offset, and that gives you a closer cut to the edge. So again, we're going to be checking that. We're going to see how well this cuts to the edge. That is again. Okay, so if we turn this over, and I'll just show you where the camera is. So you can see here we have a camera on here. These two red areas here, these two red bits here, this is simply where the mower will go into dock on the base station and charge up from there. So in terms of the camera and the navigation system that this robotic mower uses, is it has a HDR camera, a high dynamic range camera, and that's going to be really useful when you have shadows like I do down the right hand side of my lawn. There's lots of shadows of the trees, and I've known some robotic mowers, some camera robotic mowers, to detect those shadows as obstacles, and it just won't mow that shady area. It believes it's an object and doesn't recognize it. So I'm hoping with this particular model, the HDR camera is going to recognize that that's a shadow, and it's going to continue mowing. But again, we're going to test that on my lawn a little bit later. You also have the option to install night lights on this particular model, and that will allow you to use this particular mower during the night time as well. I don't have that particular accessory, but that's an additional option that you can add on to this range of Vision WORX robotic mowers. So as I mentioned earlier, you get the two RFID tags. So out of the box, 2 zones that it will support. You can purchase additional pairs of RFID tags to allow additional zones. And as I mentioned again earlier, the magnetic strips. You've got 10 meters of magnetic strip there to create no-go areas that you want this particular mower to avoid. Okay, so in terms of specification, I think that's pretty much it. Let's get the base station set up, and then we'll get the battery in, we'll get the mower charged on the charging station, and then we'll set up the app and we'll be off and ready to go. If you would like to learn more about the different types of navigation that you can get with robotic lawnmowers, then I've created a separate video and also an article over on the easylawnmowing.co.uk website that explains the differences. It explains the pros and cons between the 3 different types of navigation system. So I would advise that maybe if you are thinking of purchasing a robotic mower, take a look at that, because it will give you a nice introduction to robotic mowers navigation, and then you can pick one that actually works for your particular lawn and your circumstances and your requirements as well. So there's a link in the description below this video to that other video and also to the article on the website. So to assemble the base station, really straightforward. So you take this charging bit here with the lead and you go in at the front, and that locks in, and then you just simply push down at the back, and then that's locked in. So that's the bit at the back done. So then all you need to do then is just connect your left and right pieces, and the easiest way I found to do that is just to put it on top like so, and then just lock it in. Just push down, lock that into place, and then just do the same on the other side. So just make sure you get it lined up exactly right, and then just push down. And that pretty much is it in terms of the charging station assembly. Okay, so that's it. Okay, so we've come out to my lawn now just to get the charging station set up where we want it. So just a couple of points to take into consideration when deciding where to put your charging station is, so I've chosen this spot for 2 reasons. The first is that for much of the day, this is a shady area. I don't have the garage or the roof for this particular charger. That is an optional extra. So try and choose a shady position, at least if it's in the shade for part of the day. That would be really a good position. And the other consideration naturally is to have some kind of a power source. So I have power in this shed here, so I can simply just run the wire out from the shed. So this is a good location for me. Okay, so in terms of where you put the charging station, you have three options. And those three options I will put up on the screen as a diagram so that you can see. But essentially, what you can do is you have to have the right-hand side of the charging station as you're looking at it, this side, to the edge of the boundary of the lawn. So you can have that anywhere along the boundary, as long as you have 2 meter clearance in front. So that's 2 meters of any obstacles or any pathways, and 1.5 meters at the back. So having the charging station there, for example, would not be suitable. I would need to leave at least 1.5 meters between the charging station and this particular path here. So I'd need to push the charging station down and make sure I have that 2 meter clearance in front. So that's the first option. The second option is to have the charging station right up on the back like that. So again, the right-hand side of the station is on the perimeter, and that gap needs to be between 5 centimeters and 15 centimeters. So it can't be that, for example, it can't be any more than 15 centimeters away from that edge. That needs to be tucked up against the edge there with a small 5 centimeter gap. But if you're not going to have the 1.5 meter clearance at the back, you need to have this back of this charging station up against the border here. So that position there would be absolutely fine. So as I mentioned earlier, I also get asked about whether or not the charging station can go up onto the path. Well, it can, but again, there are rules that apply. So I could position this charging station on the path like so. So it would be right up to the edge of the boundary here. But again, you need to keep that 5 centimeter to 15 centimeter gap on the right hand side of the charging station as you look at it. So that would be a good position to have the charging station. However, I do have a step here. I don't know whether you can see that on the camera. So that's not going to work for me, having the charging station here. If I wanted to move the charging station here, that is not going to work as well, because I'm not between the 5 and the 15 centimeters on this right hand edge. So I hope that kind of clears up the 3 different positions where you can have the charging station. So I've got the charging station now screwed down using all of the ground screws, so that's now nice and secure down onto the lawn. The other thing I did was just tidy the cable up, the power cable up at the back there, just to ensure that there's no trip hazards of anyone coming along on the path there. So that's pretty much it in terms of the base station setup. What I'm going to do now is put the robotic mower on the charging station and get it fully charged, because it will need to be fully charged before we can get the app and the robotic mower talking to each other. So I'm going to put that on charge now, and then what I'm going to do while that's charging up, I'm going to put my magnetic strip down along the area where I don't want the robotic mower to mow. So that's going to be my no-go zone there, and I'll show you how to set that up as well. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do, again this is optional, is to use this green magnetic strip that comes supplied. So you get 2 times 5 meters of this magnetic strip. There is the option to buy additional magnetic strip if you need longer, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a line, and I've already run a piece there, from the end there right up to the edge of this path here. So this becomes the off limits area for the Landroid, and that's really because I want this grass to grow a lot longer for the wildlife, and also because when I'm testing traditional lawnmowers, I like to test it on a really long grass to see how they perform. So I need to protect that area, and that's what I'm going to use this green magnetic strip for. So the easiest way that I found to do it is to first peg your first piece down. So you're just going to need a rubber mallet like so. Don't hit the plastic too hard, because these end bits can snap off, and I have actually snapped a couple of those. So do your first one. Unroll the mag strip, like so, and then just get it straight. So you're pegging your first and your last one in, and then just use the pegs to peg everything down in between to make sure that it doesn't become a trip hazard. And that's it. So once I've got that done, we'll then get the robotic mower talking to the app, and we'll get the mower out and working. Okay, so now we're at the point where we can actually get the mower out and mowing. I mean, in terms of installation, there is no installation. It was really just getting this base station plugged in, screwed down in position, me getting the green magnetic strip down to create that no-go area there, and that's it, we're ready to go. Okay, so what do? The robotic mower is now 100% charged. It's been on the charger for a while now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this mower to my Landroid app. So the really great thing about the Landroid app is that I've got a standard Landroid S300 on my front lawn. Using the Landroid app, I can simply add this Vision mower to the same app, so I don't have to have two different apps running. So I will see both mowers there, and I can control them from the same app. So you will need to go to either the Android or the Google Play Store to get the Android app, or to the App Store to get the iPhone app. So I have it already installed. Make sure if you have an old version of the app that you do update it as well, because that's going to be really crucial when this does its firmware update at the beginning. Okay, so I'm going to record the screen so I can show you what's happening on my phone. Okay, so what we do is we go into the Landroid app, and you can see there, if I look at my Landroids, you can see there I've got the Landroid S, which is the mower that I have on the front, the Landroid I have on the front. So you can see that there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to add one more. So I'm going to say click, add one more. And you'll see it accesses my camera to scan a QR code. So that QR code is located under this battery flap, just here. So I'm going to point that like so. And there you go, it's found that. And then it gives me an option either to connect via Wi-Fi or QR code. If I use the QR code, it will display a QR code, which I then show the robotic mower's camera, and we can connect that way. But I'm just going to use the Wi-Fi for quickness. So I'm going to click on Wi-Fi. I select the Wi-Fi for the house. I enter the password. Like so, click done. And now on my app, it's showing some instructions of what I need to do actually on the Landroid itself. So I'm going to turn the robotic mower on. And that will just take a few seconds now to boot up. Okay, so that's now started up, the app there. And then it's asking me to enter a PIN. So the default PIN for the Landroid Vision is 000. So I simply just press that. I will change that PIN later. It says PIN OK. So what we now need to do is follow the instructions that we have on the screen here. So what it's saying is for me to go into settings. So I go into settings like so. I'm going to click next on my app, and it's saying scroll down to app link like so, and then press OK. So I'll do that, and then I'm going to click next on my phone, and it says now to hit the connect button at the bottom, which I will do. Now the two are now trying to talk to each other over the Wi-Fi. Oh, sorry, I didn't press OK on there, my fault. Okay, and there, the two have connected. So that's perfect. I'm going to click OK. It says on the app here, missing Landroid position. So all you do is you click set, use my location, and there we're in. So we now on my Landroid app, I can see if I go to my Landroids, I can see there the Landroid S in my front garden and the Landroid Vision M, which is this model here. These can be renamed according to your own preferences, but I'm just going to leave that for now. So that is pretty much it. We're pretty much ready to go now with this Landroid and set it out mowing. So what it's going to do, as I mentioned earlier, is an exploratory route around the garden. So it's going to go around the perimeter, it's going to be using its camera, and it's going to be using its AI to try and understand the layout of my lawn. The blade won't be running, so it won't be doing any cutting during that that learning phase. So in terms of the grass, so I've cut the grass down, I would estimate down to around 55 millimeters, and I'm going to set the WORX on 40 millimeters. So what we need to bear in mind is robotic mowers are mulching mowers. They're designed just to take a little bit off of the grass each time, deposit that down into the grass. It keeps the grass really healthy, and you're not going to have lots of cut grass all over your lawn all of the time, which you're picking up on your feet, especially if the grass is a little bit damp, for example. So the idea is not to be cutting off too much. So really what I should have done is cut my lawn at 40, set this to 40, and just let this WORX Landroid take care of my lawn. So any new growth, this will just go around and cut off. But naturally we want to see it cutting. So I've left the lawn that little bit longer, I believe around 55, 60 millimeters. I've got it set on 40, so we'll see just how well the cutting performance is as well. Okay, so I'm going to set it out now on its exploratory mode, and then we'll come back and we'll set the mower off cutting the lawn. Okay, so the mower has gone around the edge of the lawn in its learning mode, and it's come back to the base station no problem. So I know the positioning of the base station is good. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to show you on the app how to schedule the mower. There's lots of information out there that shows you how to do schedules and how to control your robotic mower. So all I'm going to do now is just set it off on a mow of the lawn. So as I said, I've got the height adjustment on 40. So all I'm going to do in the app is go to my Landroid Vision M, which is this model, and then I'm just going to hit the play button down the bottom here, and then that should send a signal to the mower to go off and start mowing. So let's do that now. And there it goes. We should hear that blade spin up in a moment. And there you go. So there's a few warning bleeps there, and then the mower sets off. I think it just probably detected me standing there. Okay, and off it goes. So what we're going to do is I'm going to let that cut now for an hour or so, and we're going to see what kind of results it does out on the lawn here. The other thing I'm going to test as well is, again, the boundary wire, whether it doesn't cross over that magnetic strip there and go into that no-go zone there, or that off-limits area. And you can see there that is pretty much following that line very accurately. Also, what I want to do is I want to test the obstacle avoidance, because I'm always asked with regard to very small objects, larger objects. So we're going to do some tests in relation to the obstacle avoidance. So remember, there's no ultrasonic sensors, there's no bump sensors on this mower. It's purely going to be down to the camera detecting obstacles and then working around them. So we'll take a look at that in a moment. Okay, so the WORX Landroid M600 is now happily mowing away on the lawn. And it's doing a really fantastic job. We have given it a job to do. You can see there's at least 2 centimeters, 20 millimeters of grass that it's cutting off, and that is why it's leaving the tracks there on the lawn. So as I said earlier, what I would recommend is get the lawn cut to the size, the length, sorry, that you want to keep the lawn at. So if I was doing this for my own personal use, and this wasn't a review, to see how well the mower cuts, then what I would be doing is cutting at 40, setting the mower at 40, and that way you're not going to get these tracks on the lawn. But having said that, this will eventually cut the entire lawn, and those tracks will disappear over time, as it has done on my front lawn. Okay, so there's a couple of tests that I just want to do in terms of this mower, and the first is I want to do an edge cut. I want it to go around and do an edge cut, and I want to see how close it goes up to the edge. So we're going to do that next, and then I'm going to put some obstacles in front. So everything from a leaf to a small ball to a tennis ball size ball as well. And we'll see also with my my dog as well, we'll see, just to make sure that it does go round these obstacles, because safety is always a concern with these robotic mowers. And you know, this does have a lift sensor and it does have the camera for obstacle avoidance, but we'll just see and make sure that everything is working as it should do. Okay, so let's get on. I'm going to now set it to go around the edge and do an edge cut. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to check the obstacle avoidance. I've got this tennis ball size ball which I'm going to put in front of the mower. And you can see there that it's detected it nicely. I'm now going to try this leaf. So it's quite a large leaf, but it has detected it. And again, change direction. I'm now going to try this very small ball. And again, it's picked up the small ball and is turning and changing direction. And last but not least, we're going to test my little dog here, just to make sure. Okay, Lily, sit. Good girl. And stay. And there we go. It's avoided my dog and it's gone around her. So that's pretty good in terms of the obstacle detection. It's gone through there and it's avoided all of the obstacles that we've put in its way. I've had the Landroid now running for a whole day, and I just wanted to give you a quick update as to how it's been going. So in terms of its navigation, it's done really, really well. I've had no issues with the robotic mower going out of the boundary at all, and it hasn't crossed the magnetic strip there at the back. So far so good with the mowers. Also, last night I tried to do a mow and it refused to go out. When I went out to the actual mower itself, it said that there was insufficient light to mow. It didn't actually tell me that on the app. I just had to look on the control panel. But I think these kind of improvements with regard to the app will come at a later date when they start improving the firmware and the app for this particular vision range of robotic mowers. So all in all, really, really impressed. Another thing that I noticed this morning, we're in early September here in the UK. We're over 30 degrees, which is extremely unusual. But this morning we had a really heavy dew on the grass, and I noticed that my Landroid in the front garden was not mowing, and when I looked it was on a rain delay, so it picked up the moisture on the rain sensor. However, the vision was going around and mowing in the quite damp conditions on this grass, but when I looked into the app I could see that the rain sensor on the vision was turned off, and therefore it's defaulted to off. So if you do purchase this robotic mower, make sure that you go in, and if you want the rain sensor on, which I would advise, you need to go in and turn that on. So all in all, after just a day of mowing, it's really now getting on top of the grass. So I'm now starting to see less tracks because it's starting to cover the entire lawn, and it's doing really well. So I have it set to start mowing at 9 o'clock in the morning and go off at 7 o'clock at night with an edge trim once a week on a Wednesday. So all in all, first impressions are really good. So as I mentioned earlier, I will be keeping the blog on the website up to date in terms of any issues that I experience over a period of time. So please do head on over to the easylawnmowing.co.uk website, have a look, and I will report anything that I notice over time, any issues or any improvements as well, because this mower will improve over time. Okay, so it's day 3 now since I set up the M600 robotic lawnmower, the Vision robotic lawnmower, and it really has done a fantastic job of the lawn. So you can see there the lines now, the tracks are starting to disappear. It's only a few patches now left to cut, so that's only really been 2 days of mowing, 2 days of mowing time with that supplied 2 amp hour battery. So I hope that gives you an idea of, and my lawn here is around 450 meters squared, so I hope that gives you an idea of what you can expect from this robotic lawnmower. And I think you can see there the results are absolutely fantastic, and naturally the grass was that little bit longer as well. You're perhaps not going to have that, so you're going to get this result almost immediately you take delivery of the mower if you cut your lawn down to the size or the length that you want it. Okay, so I hope you could see there how well this WORX Landroid Vision M600 did at cutting my lawn. It really is simplicity in terms of its setup. There is really no installation apart from those couple of procedures that you need to do that I showed in the video, getting the base station in the right position and connecting the robotic mower to your smartphone, and that really is it. Once you've done that, the mower is up and running. So if you're put off by a robotic mower thinking with regards to the installation being complicated, then think again. This really is simplicity in itself. As I mentioned earlier, there's 3 different types of navigation system. There's the boundary wire, the camera, and the GPS RTK type system. And there's a full article on the easylawnmowing.co.uk website, and a video actually explaining the differences, the pros and cons, because there is a pros and cons of all 3 different types of navigation system, and I think it's be good to understand what those pros and cons are so that you can make sure that you get the right robotic mower for your particular lawn and your particular circumstances. There's a link in the description below this video to both the article and to the other video explaining the differences between these mowers. So as with all of my reviews, I do go over the pros and cons of any particular product that I'm testing. So let's get the cons out the way with this particular mower. So the first thing that I noticed was that 2 amp hour battery that comes supplied with this particular model. So remember, this is the M600 and it comes supplied with a 2 amp hour battery. If you go up to the M800, you will get that 4 amp hour battery. So the first thing I'm going to do is swap this out for at least a 4 amp hour battery. So remember, if you do purchase an additional battery, these WORX batteries, these 20-volt WORX batteries, are power share across the range of tools. So if you do invest in another 4 amp hour battery, you can use that battery in your hedge trimmer and your grass cutter as well if you have that from WORX. So that's that range of 20-volt batteries. So that's the first thing I would say, is the 2 amp hour battery that comes with it. The second thing is this is a random mowing pattern. So unlike the Luber that I tested earlier in the year, which is GPS and RTK guided, it did go up and down the lawn. And that means that it's more efficient. So this mower will, some of its time, it will be going over the grass that it's already cut. So it doesn't cut as efficiently as some of the GPS guided mowers do. So, but that's not an issue. This is designed for lawns up to 600 square meters. So my 450 meter square lawn here would easily be able to manage that, and with a 4 amp hour battery it would easily manage that particular lawn and keep it looking nice as well. The only other slight con that I can suggest, and this really isn't just specific really to the WORX, but it's to all of these new boundary wireless robotic mowers. They are relatively new, they are only of this year, 2023, so there are teething problems, and that's not just unique to WORX. That's the same with the Stiga, it's the same with the Segway, it's the same with the Luba, and even the Husqvarna. They're all having teething issues, and at the end of the day, we, the consumer, we are testing the product. So if you're getting in early with these robotic mowers, there is going to be an element of testing. I mean, I haven't had any significant problems here, but my lawn is relatively straightforward, and it's impossible for the developers to understand every single type of lawn configuration, every type of lawn setup. So this will develop over time, and that's why at the beginning I stress the importance of keeping not only the app up to date, the Landroid app, but also the firmware on the robotic mower. So this mower is only going to improve over time, and it will improve. There'll be added features, there'll be added functionality that you can do on the app, and also the navigation system will improve as well over time as well. So what I would suggest to you is, if you head on over to the easylawnmowing.co.uk website, there's a full review of this model, this robotic lawnmower, but at the bottom of the review there is a section which I keep up to date. So any updates, firmware updates, app updates that come out and fix problems, and also I get lots of emails and communication from people telling me about problems, so I'll put them in the description at the bottom of that review, so you can keep up to date with the progress of this machine. So you may not want to get in at this point, this early stage, but there may be a point at which this becomes super stable. I mean, it was super stable here, but if you've got a really complex lawn, then you know it is early days, and that's the same across any robotic mower which doesn't require a boundary wire. Okay, so that's pretty much it in terms of the cons. Okay, so what about the pros of this particular model? So this WORX Vision range is super easy to set up. I hope that came across in the video, how easy it is to set up. It really is very straightforward. You'll be up and running easily within an hour of taking delivery of this mower. And that leads me on actually to the other point, is that with WORX, you are getting a trusted brand. This is going to be delivered in 2 or 3 days to your door. It's not going to be like some of the other brands on a slow boat from China, which could take 2-3 months to arrive. You've got WORX support as well. You've got that 2-year out of the box warranty, and if you register within 30 days, you're going to have a year added onto that. So that's going to give you a 3-year warranty on this WORX Vision robotic mower, which is super fantastic. You've got the multi-zone, so I didn't show setting up the zones because I don't have any zones here, but for example, if I had a path running down the center of my lawn, I could have 2 separate zones, one on each side of the path, just using them RFID tags and setting the zones up in the app. So multi-zone, you can purchase additional tags if needed, if you want more than those 2 zones as well. You have the option for the headlight to go on, so if you want to be cutting your lawn at night, you can do that. You can purchase that headlight. I don't have that, so I couldn't test it, but there is an option for a headlight on this so that this can be used at night. The obstacle avoidance detection worked really well. I hope you could see that there in the demonstration, and the cut to edge worked really well. This is never going to cut right up to the edge, but it did go quite close up to the edge, so there will be over time a small amount of grass that will need to be trimmed around the edge of the lawn, and that's the reality with these robotic lawn mowers. You've got the cutting heights, the 30 to 60 cutting heights, the 30 millimeters to 60 cutting heights. I think that's plenty for a robotic mower. That 30 cut, most people will probably leave it on the 30 to keep that nice low lawn. And you do have variations between the models in terms of the number of cutting heights. And speaking of which, the other models, there is a comparison table over on the easylawnmowing.co.uk website which shows you exactly what you're getting with the 4 different models of this Vision range of WORX mowers. So the variations is the number of cutting heights, the battery, the deck size, the charge, the ampage, how quickly the battery charges as well. So there's quite some differences between them. So do head over to the easylawnmowing.co.uk website. There's a link in the description below to that review of this mower and to that comparison chart as well. I was really impressed with the navigation system of this robotic mower. I do have lots of shadows. I have a row of trees here with a ball sort of canopy, and they were circular shadows on the lawn, and I had a feeling that this was going to pick that up as an obstacle, but because this has a HDR high dynamic range camera, it was able to adjust the light to ensure that it could see that there was still grass there and it wasn't an obstacle, and it did go through the shadows no problem at all. Also down this side of the lawn where I have all the vegetables and the plants, some of them actually overhanging the lawn, I did think I was going to have to do some modifications there as well, but I didn't, and the navigation system dealt very well down that side of the lawn as well. So really impressed with the navigation, this camera navigation system on this WORX mower. So I really do hope you found this review useful. If you did, could I please ask that you click that thumbs up button below this video? It would be much appreciated. And why not subscribe to my channel so that you get notified of any future videos that I release. You will need to click that bell icon to get notifications. Please, if you have any comments, put them in the comments box below this video, or head on over to the easylawnmowing.co.uk website where you'll see a full review of these full range of WORX Vision robotic mowers, and there's a comments box below those reviews which you can comment in as well and ask me any questions that you have with regards to this particular mower, or any questions really regarding robotic mowers that you have. There's lots of reviews over on the website, lots of different robotic lawn mowers, and lots of helpful articles as well, so please do head on over and take a look. Thanks very much for watching this video review. I'll see you in the next one.